So the next element I want to talk to you about is the HTML table. So the table is how we create chart sort tables like this one here on the MDN page that's here for colors. And then here's a few examples of types of things that we're going to work on. So these are tables in HTML. They are pretty simple. Obviously, they're not the most beautiful things without styling, but they are very useful to display information in a tabular format. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in a new table element, and inside every table element, and this is where it gets a little tricky because there's a few different ways of doing this. The first way I'm going to show you is we write a TR element, which stands for table row, and then inside of each table row, we put a TD element, which stands for table data. So I'm just going to write this out to show you first, then we're going to go back and then discuss it. And we're just going to put in some random text here. So let's go back to colors. So red and orange. Let's leave it at that. And when I refresh the page, I have a beautiful table. However, I don't have any border on this table, so it's kind of hard to see what's happening. You would do this using CSS ordinarily. This is not a great way. The way that I did it here with the border attribute, this is sort of the old way of doing it. It's just how we did it back in HTML4, basically before things became more oriented around doing all your styling in your CSS. So you can still do it. I'm just going to do it here just to show you it's happening. So what I've done is I've made a table that has one row and has two TDs inside of a row. So I can make another row, and I'm going to make this yellow and green. And when I refresh, we'll have two rows now, red and orange, and yellow and green. So again, we got table, we've got TR for each row, and then we got TD for each cell or table data. The next thing I want to show you is how we can create a heading on a table. Let's make this table about people. So we'll have something like name and age, and then below we'll have name is Bob and age 26, and name John and age 40, and so on. So to do this, we want name and age to be the heading of the table. So we'll make another row, and rather than using TDs, we're going to use a tag called TH. So TH is for table header, and we're going to have name and age. And then our first row, I will go ahead and fill out Bob, and his age is 26. Then our next row will be John, and his age is 40. So I refresh the page, and now here's my table. So I've got my THs in one row, and I've got another row with two elements, and then another row with two more elements. So one other thing we can discuss here is that there are two other tags that gives our table a bit more meaning. So right now our heading information, that's these two headers, are just a part of a regular TR. So there's no distinction between this TR and this TR. They're both just table rows. Well, in HTML5, again, the emphasis is on making HTML somewhat meaningful so that if some other code is looking at this site, so if someone is using a screen reader, so the screen reader code can see my HTML and read it, and it will know what's the heading of my table, and it will also know what's the body of the table. So that might behave slightly differently than if it just reads out all the rows out loud. Now there are two elements that we can add. The first one is T-head, and the second one is T-body. And these will not make a difference at all in the appearance. So what we can do now is move everything that corresponds with the heading into T-head. And then what I'll do is move the actual body of the table, so that's all the content, into T-body. And I refresh, and it looks identical. Nothing should change. Let's just do a quick change here. So let's add another column. So this will be name, age, and favorite color. So Bob's favorite color is purple, and John's favorite color is brown. There we go. So that's the basics of tables. Again, they're not usually that ugly. We usually use CSS. And so this is just a normal table without any styling. And then we'd go into CSS and change the fonts and add a border and background colors and all that jazz.